photojournalism. Welcome to Global Journalist. I'm David Reed. In poor areas of South Africa, trainers from a small organization called the Umuzi Photo Club give cameras to high school students and teach them basic photography. The students enrolled in the workshops also learn how to use their photography to document social and economic problems like high unemployment and teenage pregnancy. With me in the studio today is Emily Coppel. She's the program coordinator and content manager for the Umuzi Photo Club. Emily graduated from the Missouri School of Journalism 2 years ago, and this month she's back in the area visiting her family here. Joining us by telephone from Johannesburg is Thapelo Motsumi, a photojournalism student in a prestigious program who got his start at the Umuzi Club and is now a mentor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hey, Thapelo.
Hey, hi. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
It's good to have you all the way from online from Johannesburg. Photographs taken. Well, let's start out by talking about how you got started in this club. You graduated from MU about 2 years ago and figured you were going to do international reporting, and you did some of that in South Africa. But how did this come about?
Yeah, I did. Actually, in 2009, before I graduated, I was doing some volunteering in Johannesburg, and I found a MUSI and started kind of helping out on the weekends. And when I returned to South Africa in 2010, I was on a fellowship to report on how the World Cup was impacting South Africans. And as part of that proposal, I wanted to work with some of the MUSI students to document their stories and to kind of help advance some of the programs. But I found a MUSI online originally.
Okay, and what attracted you to the program? What did you like about it?
I really liked the idea of a participatory photography project, and at the time the organization was very much centered around just using cameras as a tool for self-expression and raising social awareness. And I really saw an opportunity for me to use my kind of photojournalism and convergence journalism skills to help some of the advanced students and take the program a bit further.
Right. And Thapelo, can you tell us how you became involved in the photo workshop?
Oh, the first time that Umuzi Photo Club came to my school was on September 2009. I was one of the 10 kids that were chosen to actually participate in the workshop. Due to that, I was always an outgoing kid at school, always kind of getting involved in what was happening around my school.
And how would you describe the place you lived as a child when you were in high school?
I live in Yeovil. Yeovil is one of those areas that it's multicultural. You have people from Zimbabwe, people from Nigeria, just in one community. Sometimes that they don't get along. Sometimes they do get along. But as people, they do have their conflict.
And what are some of the problems that you've documented there with your photography?
The time that we documented teenage pregnancy within Yeovil and Hilbert. That's one of the two communities that we actually were taking photographs in.
Okay, and what about your classmates? What are some of the problems they've focused on?
Oh, the others they focused on school dropouts and actually unemployment.
Okay, I guess those are unemployment and poverty. Are they problems there?
Yeah, they're really huge. Yeah, you have kids dropping out of school because of they get teen sex, and so that actually doesn't let them to kind of continue with their studies. So if they're pregnant, they have to drop out of school just because of due to the problems that they got themselves involved in at a young age.
Okay. One of the your photographs that I really liked was exhibited in London, along with some other photographs from your classmates, and it shows an elderly man sitting outside and yawning, and I suppose homelessness is a problem there.
Yeah, it's really huge. I mean, but it's not that big because most of the guys, they just tend to sleep on the streets because they have their reasons. Maybe they're addicted to drugs, or they just fight with their family. So they take the easy way out that I must go and live on the street. I must go and hustle for myself. Maybe I can become a better person, and it leads to other things.
Okay, and we have a couple other photographs here in the studio that we also really liked, and I think Emily can describe what they are. So then you can talk about add some comments about those photographs. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the photographs is of four men, and they're kind of dressed in traditional Zulu gear, and they're all kicking really high, doing a traditional dance. But Tops, do you want to talk more about when you took this photo?
Yeah, that was one of my commissioned work that I did. Just because it was a traditional birthday party for an old town. She was turning 21, so her family got her like all the traditional Zulu men to actually come and dance for her, so that she actually goes out to become a woman now.
And the second photograph that we have here in the studio, can you talk about that as well?
Yeah, Thapelo, I think it's from the same birthday party, but there's a silhouette of a woman, and her head is kind of bowed, and she's got South African rand, which is the money, in her hair, and there's another woman kind of standing over her with her hand on her hips, and they're both dressed traditionally.
Thapelo, what tell us about why she has money in her hair?
No, that's a traditional ceremony that they perform. That it's like she's giving back to her ancestors, but giving back to her ancestors. The more they put money on her head, that's when the ancestors are going to accept her as a woman in terms of like her growth, to becoming a better person in life.
Yeah, I know that I read in one of the interviews with you that while a lot of your classmates focus on issues like crime and poverty, that you also shoot photographs of the good things that take place in the villages where you live. Can you talk about some of those positive images that you've focused on?
Yeah, I enjoy shooting sports because I find that sports is one of those stimulating action things that you'll be able to just capture that moment when someone's just about to score a goal, or it's just falling on the ground. I like capturing such things when I shoot sports.
Okay. And photographs taken by the Umuzi students have been exhibited in New York, London, and the top galleries of Johannesburg. But Emily, these students seem to be more interested in being activists than being artists.
Yeah, what we found from our initial workshops, in which kind of learners choose one issue in their community that they want to showcase in a community exhibition, such as teenage pregnancy or the poor delivery of basic services, or how, like Thapelo said, how school dropouts lead to unemployment. After we did these initial social awareness raising exhibitions, we saw that there was still a passion within them to actually directly combat the issue. And so what they've done is they've used kind of all of the information that they gathered from doing these exhibitions and their photographs and multimedia to actually create programs within their communities to reduce teenage pregnancy, for instance, at the high school where Thapelo went, or to create direct communication lines with the local government to make sure that basic service delivery problems like lack of clean water or lack of electricity, lack of refuse removal are actually being addressed. So they've taken their kind of initial photographs one step further.
Well, that's powerful. Now, the Emily produced the club's series on youth activism, a multimedia project, and we're going to play a bit of that project for now. The following episode features 17-year-old Thapelo Motsumi. He's speaking about growing up with a teenage mother and then photographing the issue of teenage pregnancy in his community. And Thapelo shot some of the photos that are in this episode.
My name is Thapelo Motsumi and I'm 16 years old. I've worked with Umuzi Photo Club to photograph the issue of teenage pregnancy in Hillbrow. We had an exhibition to try and educate our peers about the issue. I photographed a Salvation Army. It's an orphanage in my community where they take in abandoned children, and when maybe there's teenage mothers that do not want their children. A lot of teenagers do not think before they actually have sex. until one is pregnant, then they think of dumping the children. I want to change teenage pregnancy because it's really a downfall for a lot of teenagers. And my mother was a teenage mother.
My name is Constance Toumabi. When I had Deborah, I was 19 years old. I was doing grade 12, but I didn't write it because I fell pregnant.
My mother left when I was in, I think, grade 4, when we moved in with my grandmother. When she came back, when my grandmother passed away, we had a lot of fights because I didn't understand why she left me for those years. And I got to know because she wanted a better future for me. So she took me to my grandmother and I lived with my grandmother.
Thapelo, have you seen any impact from the photography on this issue of teenage pregnancy and other projects that you've done? Have people changed behaviors at all? Have you noticed any difference?
Yes, we have, because the exhibition that we had at the Pineapple Park High School, most of the people that attended were just youth, kids from my school actually coming to come and look at these images. So
right.
like it started, like they started changing their minds about how they must stop indulging into sex as teens. So from there, I think from that exhibition, we raised that awareness, and like the book at the moment, he'll be giving talks at school, like in the next 2 weeks, to come talking to most of the grade 9s about teen sex and how actually like he can be a mentor for them,
Right. And Emily, could you add to that?
Yeah, Thapelo's right on. That multimedia piece that we just listened to and watched, that will be used, as Thapelo mentioned, in an assembly with all of the 9th graders at Bernardo Park High School, and our students will be hosting it. And I've spoken to some of those students as well who are still at the school, and they've said that there actually, as of this year, there are no pregnancies in the 9th graders so far this year. So they just want to exactly, and they just want to kind of carry on with that and make sure that the proper structures are in place so that that young people can get the help that they need.
Okay. Now, we're going to take a break. Before we continue our discussion, I want to remind everyone that you can view or listen to this program anytime by downloading our podcasts at globaljournalists.org. You can also find interesting articles and photos, interviews related to our program on our website. So please send us questions or comments via globaljournalist@kbia.org or our Facebook page. You could also follow us on Twitter at GJJournalist. Now, I wanted to go a bit into how you teach the kids. It must be quite a bit different for you, especially when you started, a different kind of culture, and to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of your language and your reference points for things. You kind of just have to simplify everything until you really understand the way that a person learns. But I mean, my kind of main goal was to bring in a lot of my own journalism training into what we do, because I found that you really can engage with an issue in a different way when you've used a journalistic approach, whether that's photographing, interviewing, or doing research about an issue. It really kind of paints it in a new light. And using this approach with young people, you can see that it really makes them passionate about changing it, because they see all of the complexities of the issue, but also where they can help and where they can make improvements in the community or at their school or with their friends, all that sort of thing.
Right. And Thapelo, you've become a mentor, so you're somewhat of a teacher as well, aren't you?
Yes, like most of the workshops, like I facilitate, like because the kids that get chosen, they kind of like relate to me as one of the people that has gone through the program. I can simplify things for them, just make them understand better, because I kind of like relate to their situations, where they come from, backgrounds, and
Okay, and the how has this experience affected you both personally and professionally? The Umuzi Club in particular. Then we can move into what you've done since. So how did the Umuzi Club affect you?
Should Thapelo go first, or should I?
Yeah, well, how about Thapelo goes first,
Yeah.
then we'll ask you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead,
Thapelo.
No, I think since September 2009, when Umuzi Photo Club, they walked into my classroom, I saw them as like, what are these white people trying to teach us? But at the end of the day, like giving us those disposals, disposals has changed my life. At the moment, I'm using an SLR, like to shoot pictures. And I never thought that I'll be doing that at the moment. I always thought that maybe I'll be parking cars in the streets, or just being a soccer player. But actually, I have achieved a lot through the organization. And at the moment, they're taking me to a photography school, which actually like develops young photographers and turning them into professionals.
What do your parents do, and what do they think about your accomplishments?
My mother she does administration, and then my dad makes metal. So they're quite happy about what I'm doing. Not that they'll be disappointed in me if I was moaning around the street, just trying to make a quick buck, but actually doing something that's positive for myself.
And you're actually getting paid and providing some money for your family, aren't you?
Yes. And most of the commissioned work that I do through the organization.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that, the organization structure. I understand now that it's become more self-sustaining. Can you talk about the evolution of the program?
Yeah, definitely. So we have the development side of things where we are really focused on kind of youth activism using photography and multimedia. And then part of the organization works actually as a professional agency. So we do corporate communications work for blue chip clients. There are a lot of corporates in South Africa. And how that works is we'll actually put a professional photographer on the job, and then they'll have kind of an assistant photographer like Thapelo or one of our other students who've gone through the program, and they're actually learning on the job skills. And depending on how far along on that ladder they are, depends on how much money they'll get from the shoot. But our goal is to really provide on the job training. And for corporates, it's attractive because it's kind of they're giving back, but they're getting a service that they needed anyway, and they're getting a high quality content. Right. So that money actually goes into funding our development activities.
Okay. And let me go back to that question that I asked Thapelo about how this program has affected you. Obviously, it's changed your career direction.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, I felt as soon as I started doing journalism work in South Africa that I needed to do something in the communities, and that there was a lot of scope for me to do a lot with such a small, simple skill set. And it's changed the way that I see the country, and also see the U.S. and just see journalism as a practice. There's so much scope and for what you can do with journalism skills.
Okay, and Thapelo, let's talk about the I'm an Activist campaign. Explain what that is for our audience.
Oh, I am an activist campaign. It took part within Deep Sloot, Alexandra, and Hillbrow. So those are the three different townships that you find within Johannesburg.
Okay.
So in Deep Sloot, the learners from Deep Sloot photograph service delivery, and then the ones in Alexandra photographed school dropouts. Then in Hillbrow we photographed the teen pregnancy.
Okay.
Those are the three issues that we're mainly focusing on.
And is that the program where Amnesty International is becoming involved?
Yeah, it is. So, and the main goal of the I'm an Activist campaign was to showcase the kind of new era of youth activism and doing activism in a creative way. South Africa has a really rich history of youth activism, from the Soweto uprisings in 1976 and all that sort of thing. So we've teamed up with Amnesty International for Youth Day, which is going to be on June 16th, and that was. And June 16th, Youth Day is in honor of these riots in 1976. And so they're looking at, between 1976 and now, have the youth achieved emancipation? And they're kind of combining their campaign with ours, specifically in Deep Sloot Township, where the learners have started an organization to combat some of the government shortcomings in the area. So they're really kind of helping our learners learn more about human rights and what they can do to stand up for human rights issues.
And how many people are going to be involved with that?
It will be the entire township, and they're actually bringing in activists from all over the world, and South African activists who are quite famous, and all that sort of thing. So it will be a huge initiative there.
And Thapelo, what is your role in this day? Are you going to be involved?
Yeah, I am going to be involved as a young person, because it's very important that we, as the young people of the community, should get involved in projects like this, not just sitting down and say we blame the government for whatever, what's happening within our communities, like the service delivery program that's taking place in Deep Sloot,
Okay. Let's talk a bit about how this program has affected the students themselves. Thapelo, I'll start with you. How would your life be different if you were never involved with this photo club?
Yeah, I think I'll be doing something completely different. That I wouldn't be doing at the moment. Like, let's say maybe I'll be parking cars or being a professional soccer player, or being an artist. Because I've always been an artist at heart. I like painting and drawing.
Okay. And Emily, what about some of the other students? How's it affected their lives?
Yeah, I think it's been huge in empowering them to take action. I think a lot of times in these communities, as Thapelo was saying, people just kind of take a back seat and say, it's government's problem, or it's somebody else's problem. But I think they've really started taking ownership over these initiatives, and that's empowered them in their own lives to, pursue, a college degree or pursue other initiatives that tie into what they've already done. We have a few other students who want to study journalism and are currently, trying to make sure that they'll be able to fund it and all that sort of thing. So I think it's really empowered them.
Any particular anecdote about maybe a student who's maybe was on the edge of dropping out or living on the streets, and this helped inspire them?
Yeah, there's one young woman, her name is Rudzani Machili, and we worked with her in 2010, and she photographed specifically electricity problems in Deep Sloot Township and how those electricity issues were causing shack fires in the community, and the government wasn't addressing it and still isn't addressing it. And basically she came to me, I think in 2011, and was like, look, Emily, I want to study journalism, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to. My mom is a domestic worker, my father's a taxi driver, and I don't know how I'll ever be able to afford it. And so after our I Am an Activist campaign launch, Al Jazeera actually covered her and another one of our students. And I was contacted by somebody at the University of Amsterdam who's doing a program there where they want to crowdfund, so use like Kickstarter, that sort of thing, the education of a young photojournalist. So they chose Rudzani, and so now I think they've raised almost $4,000 or $5,000 towards her, which will go towards her education. And they've been, people who donate to this cause will get her photographs, and they'll get some of her poems and some of her writing, because she's a pretty prolific writer. So yeah, and she's thrilled beyond belief. She can't believe that her dreams were able to come true, and that she'll actually be able to study, because if she didn't have money, there's not much chance of a future.
Now, Thapelo, do you have any classmates who have similar stories that you can relate?
Yeah, one of my classmates that came through through the workshops. His name is Joao. Joao and Captain. Captain is he's actually a good photographer, but he lives in Deep Sloot, where Rudzani comes from also.
He lives where again?
In Deep Sloot.
Okay.
Deep Sloot.
Okay.
Yeah, Captain, he really enjoys shooting sports. That's one of his strongest points.
And do you know this student?
Yeah, he's one of our most talented photographers, I think, next to Thapelo. He just has an incredible eye, and from the beginning we just were blown away by some of the photos he would come back with. And he's actually known now in his community as a photographer, and people come to him for weddings and that sort of thing. Yeah. And there's a community arts project that's going on around the corner from where he lives, and they contacted us and asked for a photographer, and so he'll be going and shooting that, and that'll bring in some money for his family. He's still in high school, so we're waiting for him to get out so we can start pursuing different possibilities for him.
Great. And Thapelo, let's talk a bit about what you plan to do. When do you graduate from the market photography program?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm currently in school doing photojournalism and documentary. It's a 1-year full-year course, But after that, I think that I still want to continue learn more
And
but I'll also be freelancing on the side, as a professional photographer or as a photojournalist.
do you think you'll stay there in the Johannesburg? Do you plan to?
Yeah, if I mean, this is home. This is home. I'll definitely stay in Johannesburg, or even if there are possibilities of me going to study abroad, I would like to take those opportunities.
And do you see yourself in a career as a freelancer, or do you think about maybe working at a newspaper or another media outlet?
I think in the newspaper world, because definitely I'm fascinated by news, just getting to know people's stories and just telling those people's stories better, and just that in a creative form. We've been using photography as a tool to do that. So.
Okay, and Emily, what are your hopes for the future professionally?
It's funny. I have such a passion for development work now after doing this, and I also still have a lot of passion for journalism. But I do kind of foresee pursuing different things with both of those skill sets, because I think there's a lot of scope for actually making tangible change happen, and not just raising awareness, but really doing little things within the communities to bring about change.
So have you kind of fallen in love with South Africa?
Yeah, it's become my home over 2.5 years, and yeah, all of these young people are very, very close to my heart, and my hope for them, I guess, is just that they continue to pursue change in their communities and believe that they can really do it because they can, and not to kind of just give up because the barriers seem unsurmountable.
Right. It's been great to having everybody on the show. Having you two on the show. We've come to the end of this week's edition of Global Journalist, produced by the Reynolds Journalism Institute and the Missouri School of Journalism. Thank you, Emily, for sharing your inspiring work with the Umuzi Photo Club. And Thapelo, good luck with your budding photojournalism career. Are you what's your current project?
Oh, my current project. We're shooting editorial shoots. That's what. Just shooting concepts, coming up with concepts on products and how to make them better. That's what we are doing at the moment.
Okay. Thank you very much. Our program is directed by Travis McMillan and audio by Pat Akers. Raymond Tungakar is our executive producer. Join us again next week for another Global Journalist. I'm David Reed.